What if your biggest failures were actually your greatest assets? What if every rejection, every mistake, every painful no was preparing you, not punishing you, for the life you're meant to live? I believe that every mistake, no matter how painful, is a powerful teacher. And when I was 25, I had more than my fair share of lessons. I failed my university entrance exams 3 times. Yes, 3 times. I was rejected from over 30 jobs, including KFC. There were days I genuinely wondered, will I ever get anything right? But you know what? I don't regret a single one of those failures. Each mistake gave me something school never taught me: resilience, clarity, and grit. They didn't destroy me. They shaped me. They didn't close doors. They carved new paths. That's why I always tell young people, don't be afraid to fail. Mistakes aren't setbacks. They're stepping stones, especially in your 20s. Failure isn't just expected, it's necessary. When you're just starting your career, what matters most is the courage to try, to take risks, to explore, to experiment. Because the sooner you fall, the faster you rise. And with each rise, you become stronger, wiser, more unstoppable. Yes, I remember every rejection. I remember the sting of being turned away. But I also remember the fire it lit in me. Each no whispered, not yet. Keep going. And so I did. Every time I got knocked down, I stood back up with more confidence that something greater was waiting ahead. I kept going because, honestly, if I didn't believe in myself, who else would? You see, success is not built on ease. It's built on endurance. It's built on the mistakes you choose to learn from. There's no shortcut, no elevator, only steps. And every stumble, every failure, every hard moment you embrace as a lesson brings you one step closer to your goal. So if you're just beginning, listen closely. Failures are not the end. They're the beginning of growth, the beginning of strength, the beginning of you discovering what you're really made of. What separates dreamers from doers isn't talent or intelligence. It's how they deal with failure. So the next time you mess up, pause and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Because that's where the magic happens. In the middle of the mess, when you refuse to give up. In my early days, I didn't know much about business. I wasn't thinking about billion-dollar companies or IPOs. I was driven by 2 things: curiosity and the hunger to learn. That was it. But even then, I realized something powerful. The leader you follow shapes your future. I never chose jobs based on the company name or reputation. I chose based on the leaders I admired. And that made all the difference. Because a good leader doesn't just teach you how to work, they teach you how to think, how to lead, and how to believe in something bigger than yourself. The mentors I had in my early years showed me what true leadership looked like. They didn't just give orders. They asked questions. They didn't just tell me what to do. They challenged me to dream bigger, and that's when I began to understand something profound. Success isn't just about what you do. It's about who you grow with. Great leaders don't just build companies. They build people. I remember thinking, often, if not now, when? If not me, who? It was this exact mindset this sense of responsibility and ownership that my mentors instilled in me. And if you're lucky enough to work under a leader who inspires you, treasure that, because the lessons they give you will stay with you for life. True leadership goes beyond technical skills. It shapes your mindset, your discipline, your vision. It teaches you to rise, to rebuild, to believe. It pushes you to be the best version of yourself, not just as a professional, but as a human being. The best leaders don't just teach you how to succeed, they teach you how to leave your comfort zone. And when you do, you begin to build something far bigger than success, purpose. So if you're at the beginning of your journey, don't obsess over the company name on your resume. Ask yourself a deeper question. Am I growing under the leader I follow? Am I inspired to become more, not just to do more? Because that inspiration, that growth, is what will shape not only the career you build, but the person you become. Let me leave you with this. If you're under 30, don't be afraid to take risks. Follow your intuition. Chase ideas that others laugh at. Explore paths that aren't fully mapped out yet. When I started, I didn't know much about the internet, but I sensed its power. And that vision led me to build something no one else saw coming. People thought I was crazy, but I wasn't focused on their doubts. I was focused on my dream. Entrepreneurs must see the invisible. We must believe before the world believes. That's the gift of youth. You have time to fail, learn, adjust, and rise again. So, why not take a chance? Because as I always say, if everything is already ready, it's too late. Start before you're ready. Act before you're perfect. Dream before the world gives you permission. I reached a point where I knew it was time to shift. Time to stop trying to be good at everything and start focusing on what I truly did best. But before I could do that, I had to go through something many people avoid. Exploration. I had to test myself. Try, fail, adjust. Because clarity only comes through action. Confidence is built on the back of discovery. And discovery doesn't happen unless you give yourself the freedom to make mistakes. So while you're young, don't waste that incredible window of opportunity. Use it. Explore. Experiment. Try new roles. Follow your curiosity. Uncover hidden talents. And maybe even discover a purpose you never expected. Remember, youth doesn't last forever. But the insights you gain from daring to live boldly, those will stay with you for a lifetime. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Make it. If you have a dream, pursue it. Because when you're young and full of vision, you never really feel poor. You're rich in energy, in imagination, in possibility. And that's a kind of wealth that no bank account can match. When I turned 40, everything shifted again. I had spent my 20s and 30s taking risks, testing ideas, failing forward. But at 40, I realized it was time to consolidate. It was time to channel my energy toward what I knew I did best. That's the thing about growing older in your journey. You become clearer. You don't chase everything. You refine. Entrepreneurship isn't just about dreaming. It's about placing your energy where it will have the highest impact. At that stage of life, it's not about starting over. It's about building smarter. Always say, innovation doesn't mean doing something radically different. It often means doing what you already do well, but better. People assume innovation is about disruption, but true innovation is just as often about refinement. At Alibaba, we didn't launch with a revolutionary idea. We started simple, but we executed with relentless focus and kept improving, and that's what made it grow. In your 40s, it's wise to avoid reckless risks. Instead, double down on your strengths. For me, I realized our biggest asset was helping small businesses grow, so I focused all my efforts on that. You don't have to reinvent yourself to keep evolving. You just have to elevate what you already do best. And here's something else I learned. You can't do it all alone. Around this time, I began to understand the power of delegation. Even if you've learned a lot, you can't and shouldn't carry everything on your shoulders. Focusing on your strengths also means being honest about your weaknesses and surrounding yourself with people whose skills complement yours. A strong entrepreneur isn't the ICA one who does everything. It's the one who knows how to put their energy where it counts and how to empower their team to carry the rest. So if you're in your 40s, this is your time to streamline. Don't get distracted by every new idea. Stay rooted in your true strength. This is the phase where clarity of purpose becomes your superpower. And the more focused you become, the more impactful your work will be. When I turned 50, something else became clear. It was no longer just about me. Yes, I had built a company, a team, a career, but I realized the future doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the next generation. They have the fire now, the ideas, the energy. And as leaders, it's our job to give them space, tools, and support to go further than we ever did. Entrepreneurs must have vision, not just for their companies, but for the people who will carry the mission forward. That's why I say true innovation isn't just in technology, it's in investing in people. When I empowered my team at Alibaba, we grew in ways I could never have imagined. That's the same mindset I apply now, helping young leaders grow, make mistakes, and discover who they really are. Because they will lead the next wave of change. Every time I meet a young entrepreneur, I feel a spark of recognition. I see the same ambition I once had. And now, what drives me most is helping them believe in themselves, even before the world does. Some people ask me why I spend so much time with young people when I could be relaxing and enjoying the success I've already earned. And I always give the same answer. Because if we don't pass the baton, who will? This is how you build legacy. This is how you make sure the spirit of innovation, resilience, and progress continues to grow long after you're gone. Investing in young people is like planting trees for a future you may never fully see, but knowing those trees will bear fruit for generations to come. So if you're at this stage in life, don't hoard your experience. Share it. Teach it. Pass it on, because every time you empower someone younger, you secure not just their future, but the future of the world we're all building together. I failed many times. I failed my university entrance exam 3 times. I was turned down by 30 companies, including KFC, but I never let those failures define me. Every rejection added fuel to the fire. I kept going because I believed there was something greater waiting. And the only way to reach it was to keep showing up. Persistence became my best friend. And if you're on the edge of giving up, hear this. Persistence is more powerful than perfection. If I had stopped after the first no, there would be no Alibaba, no team, no story, no success. Success doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen to those who keep walking through the night. Every barrier you push through brings you closer. Every setback you face builds strength. It's like I often say, if you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit. Change yourself. Change your approach. Change your energy, but never change your dream. When we launched Alibaba, we spent 3 years without turning a profit. People said we were crazy. They called the model broken, but we believed. And more importantly, we persisted. And because we persisted, the breakthrough came. Success will only come to those who keep moving. And what kept me going, even in the hardest times, was this truth. Obstacles are temporary, but what you build with persistence can last forever. Many people have great ideas, but few turn them into reality because they let fear stop them. Don't let fear rob you of your future. Don't wait for perfection. Persevere. Because at the end of the road, success is never waiting for the smartest or the luckiest. It's waiting for the one who refused to give up. We just explored how persistence shapes vision and how belief fuels action. Now let's talk about what happens when everyone thinks your dream is impossible, but you choose to believe anyway. When I started Alibaba, most people thought I had lost my mind. The internet in China? At the time, it sounded like science fiction. No. One believed it had potential. Not investors, not the public, sometimes not even my own friends. But I did. I believed in the future. I believed in the dream. And for 3 long years, we didn't make a single cent. Not one. But I never gave up. Why? Because I knew deep down that success belongs to those who persist, especially when the path is unclear and no one else sees what you see. There were moments that felt like we had hit a wall. We were out of money. We were out of options. But we were never out of belief. That's what I want to share with you. Even when things seem impossible, don't stop. Because what separates those who succeed from those who only dream is the simple decision to keep going when everything says quit. When you believe in what you're building, there is no obstacle strong enough to stop you. Alibaba was born from this exact mindset, an unshakable commitment to a vision. Years of hard work, missteps, financial strain, we endured it all. But the belief never wavered. I truly believed that the internet would transform China, and I was ready to give everything I had to make that dream real. And you know what? When you have a dream, you never feel poor, because even when you have nothing in your hands, you have everything in your heart. That's the kind of wealth that drives you through the darkest days. So if you're going through a challenge right now, if you feel stuck or misunderstood, this is your moment to hold on. Keep going. Keep believing, because success belongs to those who don't give up, even when the world has already turned its back. In those early days, we didn't have capital, we didn't have fame, but we had something even more valuable: a united team. A small group of people who shared the same dream. People who were willing to work, sacrifice, and push forward even when Nothing was guaranteed, and that I realized was our greatest asset. You see, no true success is ever built alone. At Alibaba, we faced countless days of doubt and fear. We didn't have the resources, but we had passion, we had commitment, and most importantly, we had trust in each other. That's what kept us going. A team spirit that made the impossible possible. The truth is, when people come together with one shared vision, something powerful happens. You stop thinking about limits. You start thinking about possibilities. We were small, inexperienced, and the market was brutal. But we had a fire no one could put out. The unity of a team that believed. I always say, a united team can achieve anything. If you want to build something, great, surround yourself with people who believe in the dream as much as you do. And if you're a leader, your job is clear: inspire, guide, trust. I could never have built Alibaba alone. Every person on our team played a vital role. They weren't just employees, they were co-builders of the vision. And this is what every entrepreneur must understand. The core boy's real strength doesn't come from one individual. It comes from the collective. So if you're building something now, invest in your people. Find those who share your values, your goals, your hunger. Because when a team moves in the same direction, there are no limits. One of the reasons e-commerce exploded in China was because our infrastructure was weak. Where others saw a dead end, I saw a doorway. We didn't have the systems, the support, or the technology. But we had problems. And problems, I've learned, are the seeds of the best ideas. Where others complained, we created. That's the power of adversity. It forces you to think differently. It forces you to innovate. Every time we faced a roadblock, we had two choices: get stuck or get smarter. We chose the second. We didn't wait for ideal conditions. We built solutions that worked in real-world chaos. Some of our greatest breakthroughs happened not in comfort, but in crisis. That's the heart of true innovation. It's not always about inventing something new. Sometimes it's about solving the same old problem in a way no one has tried before. So if you're facing challenges now, don't see them as walls. See them as windows. Ask yourself, how can I turn this problem into a breakthrough? Because the bigger the challenge, the greater the opportunity to shine. Like I always say, where there's complaint, there's opportunity. Adversity pushes us to create, and creation is what drives the world forward. But above all, I've always believed this: education is the foundation of everything. And I'm not just talking about formal education, although that's important too. I'm talking about lifelong learning. The constant pursuit of growth, knowledge, and improvement. I failed my exams. I got rejected over and over. But I never stopped learning, because success doesn't belong to those who know it all. It belongs to those who are always ready to learn more. Whether it's reading a book, listening to mentors, or learning from your own mistakes, never stop growing. The future belongs to the curious, to those who ask better questions, to those who refuse to stop learning. We've seen how belief fuels resilience and how team unity and innovation transform adversity into opportunity. But there's another force that separates those who rise from those who remain stuck. The willingness to learn, constantly, humbly and with urgency. When I started out, I knew nothing about technology. I had no background in e-commerce. But I didn't let that stop me. Instead of obsessing over what I didn't know, I made a commitment to learn everything I could. I read. I listened. I asked questions. I paid attention to people who were more experienced, and I absorbed it all like a sponge. Because learning doesn't just happen in a classroom. It happens in life, in mistakes, in conversations. And that's what separates those who move forward from those who fall behind. In today's world, what you know today may not be enough tomorrow. That's why I always say, if you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit. Change yourself. And the best way to change yourself is through constant learning. The world is moving fast. Technology is evolving. Markets are shifting. If you don't adapt, you'll be left behind. That's why I've always made learning a part of our culture at Alibaba. I encouraged our employees to grow, to develop, to never settle. A company can only grow as much as the people inside it grow. If you want to build something lasting, invest in learning. Invest in growth. Because education doesn't just open doors. It creates doors you didn't even know existed. And when you grow, you have the power to help others grow too. That's the ripple effect of knowledge. Another powerful teacher: criticism. When I started Alibaba, many people told me our business model was terrible. Some thought I was wasting time. Others didn't even understand what I was trying to build. But I didn't take the criticism personally. I saw it as a tool, a spotlight that revealed where we could do better. Every time someone said something negative, I asked, what can I learn from this? Because that's how I turned criticism into momentum. Not all feedback is helpful, but if you know how to listen, you'll find something useful in almost every complaint. I always say, where there's complaint, there's opportunity. And that idea helped refine our strategy in those early years. When people said, this won't work, I used their doubt to sharpen our focus, to adjust, to improve, and eventually to grow. As success grows, so will criticism, and that's a good thing. It means people are watching, paying attention. It means you matter. So don't fear criticism, use it. It could hold the key to your next breakthrough. And here's something many overlook. Complaints are gold mines. When people complain, they're revealing a problem. And where there's a problem, there's room to create something better. When we started Alibaba, we heard the same thing over and over. Small businesses in China couldn't access larger markets. That complaint became our launchpad. We built a platform to solve that exact pain point, and the result was transformational. If you want to build something valuable, listen to where people are dissatisfied. Frustration is a signal. Every great company starts by solving a real, painful problem. So next time someone complains, don't roll your eyes. Lean in. Ask, how can I turn this into a solution? That's how innovation is born. Not in comfort, but in the tension of unmet needs. And through it all, one thing has always kept me going. Optimism. Not blind positivity, but active belief. A mindset that says, I know it's hard. I know the odds are against me, but I'm going to try anyway. When I failed exams, when I was rejected from job after job, When we ran Alibaba for 3 years without profit, I kept believing. Not because the road was easy, but because I believed the road led somewhere meaningful. Optimism isn't passive. It's not naive. It's a force. It keeps you moving when others stop. It gives you the energy to stand back up. It helps you see light where others only see walls. So if you're struggling, choose optimism. Because with the right mindset, you don't just endure the storm. You grow stronger inside it. For me, entrepreneurship was never just about starting a business. It was about building something that made a difference. From day one, Alibaba's mission was clear. Help small businesses grow, create value, serve others. Because real success isn't about how much you earn. It's about how much impact you make. When you help others succeed, you succeed. We weren't just selling products. We were solving problems. And that's why our business grew. So if you're building something today, ask yourself, how can I create more value? How can I help people? Because when your mission is bigger than your profit margin, success becomes not just possible, but inevitable. And finally, the biggest obstacle of all, fear. Everyone feels it. I did too. When I launched Alibaba, the internet was still new in China. People thought I was crazy. I was afraid. But I didn't let fear make my decisions. Because the truth is, if you wait until you're ready, you'll be waiting forever. That in. Key: start before you're ready. Take the leap. Learn on the way down. I failed many times. I got rejected. But I kept moving because the risk of not trying. That's the greatest risk of all. Fear is temporary. Regret lasts much longer. So don't wait for perfect. Don't wait for permission. If you have a dream, start now. After learning how courage overcomes fear and how value-driven action changes lives, there's one final truth Jack Ma wants every aspiring entrepreneur to embrace. Success isn't just about building businesses, it's about serving people. True entrepreneurs don't chase fame or wealth. They look for problems that others ignore. They see what's broken in the world and ask, how can I fix this? That's what Jack Ma did. That's what he still believes to this day. For him, entrepreneurship is not just about creating products or launching companies. It's about creating value for others, solving real problems, and making a meaningful difference in the lives of those you serve. That's what separates the good from the great, the lasting from the forgettable. And if there's one obstacle that holds more people back than any other, it's fear. But Jack made it clear, fear should never be the reason you stop. What matters isn't whether you feel afraid, because you will. What matters is whether you act anyway. The courage to take action, even before you feel ready, is often the first true step toward success. Now that you've taken in these powerful insights from Jack Ma, the real question is, what will you do with them? What's standing in your way right now? Is it fear? Doubt? Lack of resources? And more importantly, how can you turn that obstacle into your next opportunity? Jack showed us that success is built on persistence, on learning from failure, and most of all, on staying focused on the value you bring to others. These aren't just abstract ideas. They're practical principles that work in real life. But they only work when you apply them. So take a moment and reflect, what resonated with you the most? Was it the lesson about following a great leader, someone who challenges and inspires you to grow? Was it the reminder that optimism is what fuels action, even in the face of overwhelming odds? Or was it the idea that you don't need to wait for perfection? You just need to start. Whatever it was, let us know. Leave a comment with the insight that hit home for you. Your words could inspire someone else who needs to hear them. And don't forget, this video isn't just something you watch once and move on. It's something you can come back to whenever you need clarity, courage, or a reminder that your dream still matters. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss a single piece of content designed to help you grow, both personally and professionally. This journey of growth doesn't end here. In fact, it's just getting started. Coming up next, How I Impacted the World, a philosophy of success that will also work for you. This video will dive even deeper into the mindset and strategy behind Jack Ma's impact, and how you can apply the same ideas to your own journey. I promise, it'll be just as transformative as the one you've just experienced. Until then, remember, the lessons you've learned today are only powerful if you put them into action. Keep applying them. Keep refining your path. And no matter how far you still have to go, keep moving towards your dream. Because success isn't something you wait for. It's something you create, step by step, choice by choice, day by day. See you in the next video.